This is the Power Platform Daily Brief from CRM Audio for Friday, May 10th, 2019. What you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. I'm Brad Kuntz. Today we'll talk to Jake Farrell for the Friday Power Conversation. But first, a few headlines. Microsoft Build was this week. It was the developer conference that took place in Seattle in the early part of the week. We're still unpacking a lot of the announcements that were made there. We've covered some of those earlier in the week. But I think it's worth noting the attention that some of the announcements have gotten in more of the mainstream type of press. And Wall Street Journal and a lot of the big business publications covered the event as you would expect. But some of the headlines kind of grabbed us a little bit. And one of them was in CNBC, their website. Headline read, Microsoft touted something called the Power Platform at its big event this week. And here's what it is. And it goes on to explain what we listeners to this show, I'm sure, already know, which is what the Power Platform is. But taking this to a bigger, non-Microsoft focused audience, I think is really a nice step for some of these media outlets to be taking on. They did have a great quote from Satya Nadella in there where they say, for the first time, in fact, in our own Microsoft history, we have an extensibility model that is the same for Office 365 and Dynamics 365. He went on to say, this has been a dream of mine, I don't know, for probably 15 years. And we are finally here and we are executing super well. So great article on cnbc.com. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Forbes, meanwhile, covered the IoT angle from the Build conference. A really nice article in Forbes saying that when it comes to IoT, there was a lot to digest. Quote, one announcement stood out because it directly addresses a challenge that hampers every IoT project and that the industry has been wrangling with for some time. The new initiative is called IoT Plug and Play, and Microsoft hopes that developers will adopt this standard as a universal interface for connecting devices. This is interesting. This is a throwback, really, to a feature in Windows 95. If you remember, that's when they introduced the idea of plug and play, simply that it allowed your PC to easily connect things like printers and peripherals. So taking that same idea and applying it to IoT, this is the IoT Plug and Play. It's currently in public preview. Once again, we'll put a link to all of this into the show notes, and you can check it out there. For today's Friday Power Conversation, we've got Jake Farrell with us today. Jake is the founder and CEO of Confluent, and they are a Microsoft partner that was a very early adopter of the Power Platform. Jake Farrell, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Brad.
Jake, I know that you and your company were really some of the first partners to really dive in headfirst into what we know today as the Power Platform.
We just got lucky and had a customer that we were working on a tablet-based application development platform on a third-party software platform, somewhat similar to Power Apps. But as soon as we heard about what was formerly called Project Sienna coming out of the garage and becoming Power Apps, we were able to convince this customer to switch platforms and go with Power Apps. So they were one of the early adopters and one of the first people in production with Power Apps.
Well, that's great. That's great. And I know that there is a case study that describes this, and I'll put a link to that inside the meeting notes that we have here.
Sounds good.
So we've got a couple of questions today, and then we'll play a little game called Buy and Sell.
Awesome. Shoot.
So first question, the recent spring release, what do you think is going to be the most impactful thing that was announced with the spring release announcements?
So the thing I'm most excited about is probably a little bit self-centered because it's an internal thing, but being able to embed Dynamics 365 into Teams. We're just really finding that Teams is just the ultimate collaboration tool and have adopted it across the organization and just really use it and see the value of it. So that's probably the most exciting thing to me.
Yeah, I'm a big Teams fan as well. I've really seen the productivity gains, and so it's going to be exciting to see what's going to be next as we get those things closer to the business applications and really the enterprise data that we all work with. So,
yes, I totally agree.
Next question. Talk about the first time you worked with Dynamics, or maybe even some of the predecessor platforms.
It's been, I guess, 2010 was when I started working on it, and it was 4.0 was the newest product. So it was before online, and a lot has changed. And now with the Power Platform, it's come full circle to really a development platform that we're super excited about.
Next question. What is your favorite travel tech?
I would say Office Lens. So just taking pictures of receipts when I'm traveling for clients that are billable. I use that all the time to get those receipt pictures and then submit them to the client when we're invoicing them.
Right, that is a good one that a lot of people I find don't know much about, but that is a really good one, and they make it for iOS, which is what I use, and I use it all the time as well. So, next question: AdventureWorks or Fabricam? What's your favorite? Which one do you prefer?
I'll probably step out of the I love Microsoft Circle and say that their sample data is sometimes gets inserted into your instances and then it's a pain to get it out. But I guess I'd have to go with Contoso because that seems to me to be the original one, but not a lover of either one of them.
Gotcha.
I like creating my own sample data.
Right, and we've heard that answer on the show before too. So. The next question, what is your best mobile productivity hack?
So I'll have to go with another internal app that we built in Power Apps. It's a Canvas-based app that integrates with the professional services first-party app that is in our Dynamics instance for tracking time against projects.
Okay, and that's one that Confluent built, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great.
I think it's available on AppSource. If not, we'll get it.
It's on AppSource. Sounds good. We'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Thing we called buy or sell, and here we'll just come up with some topics and just let us know, is this a buy or a sell or a hold in your eyes?
All right.
So buy or sell, non-developers writing Power Apps.
I think I'm long on the buy. I think that currently it was a little bit mismarketed in terms of how easy it is to build Power Apps. But I think that we're eventually going to get there, especially as AI is able to come in and take people's almost thoughts and then convert that into code. So I think it's going to be more and more, and it's definitely is happening. There are citizen developers that are really taking this in, but it's got to be a very specific scenario where they have the time, the energy, and the know-how and the aptitude to learn this technology and really make a huge impact in their organization. So I'd say hold.
Hold, okay. Buy or sell HoloLens 2?
Buy, especially the people that we work with. It's a very industrial situation a lot of times where they have people deployed out in the field that are doing very technical inspections of equipment. So I could really see where you could create a lot of value for that type of application where you could deploy less technical people out into the field, and you could, virtual reality, have somebody sitting in a home base and be able to do the inspection with that deployed field tech, but the person, in the office having the knowledge, so that person could just work all day without having to travel or anything like that. So I definitely buy.
So that's a buy.
Yeah.
All right, great. Bonus question: buy or sell USC Gamecocks in the SEC championship?
Well, I'm unfortunately a Gamecocks fan, but not this year.
That's all for today's Power Platform Daily Brief. Power on.